I'm so glad you tuned in to see my disclaimer, which is right on the screen there. Yeah, that's the way I put it up. That's the way I like it. As you can see, it's the exact words that I was instructed to put up. I was instructed to put these words on my show. The opinions and views expressed on this program do not reflect those of the management or staff of Staten Island Community Television, etc., etc. There's your disclaimer. You got it. You read it. Take it off the screen. Welcome to Books and Music Review. This is a show where we are outspoken and speaking out and telling you the truth. It's kind of like a reality show without all that reality fluff, okay? Today, you tuned into the Consumer Show, the one you've been waiting for, the one you've been writing about. It's the Consumer Show, where we're going to tell you, going to give you lots of good information about consumers. And yes, since we are the Books and Music Review, we're going to have a few books for you. I'll tell you, first thing I'm going to do is slow down because I'm talking too fast. Sound like a salesperson, right? There is our email, which is books.musicreview, which we'll put on the screen. And it's books.musicreview@gmail.com, I believe. I think that's it. And I'm going to tell you what books we got. In Touch magazine, which we've reviewed before. We have, because today's topic is going to be about flowers and gardens, the book we're going to show you is 101 Garden Hacks. And in this term, we need hacks is a good thing. What it is the hacks, and as it is here, is like good ideas for the gardens, little tricks and little hints for the garden. But more than that, we're going to talk all about flowers and what flowers mean to people and why people have ugly gardens. Yeah, they want them ugly. I have to say that. We have a few people who want ugly gardens because you know what? The ugly gardens are some of the most beautiful gardens that you will ever see. And I'll tell you why later in the show. So that's 101 Garden Hacks, one of my favorite books. And we have another book for artists, any type of creative artists, yes, for painters and drawers, any kind of artists. Even just somebody interested in doing something creative, even if you're not an artist. It's a book called Flow, F-L-O-W, Flow. It's excellent. So I don't know what book to start first with, but maybe I should tell you why I have these flowers here. You've seen the show before and you never see flowers, right? So you're looking at those flowers. Are they fake? Are they real? Are they alive? Are they dead? What are they? Are they plastic? Are they silk? What do you think? I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to bring them closer to the screen, and then you can write to me and let me know before I go on to explain what they are. What do you think? Are they silk? Are they made of paper? Are they plastic? There's something there that does give you a hint. No, this is not attached to the flowers. That's another consumer helpful hint we have for you later. So there's the flowers. I'm going to carry them close to camera. I believe that's camera 2, right? I'm going to leave it. We don't need to switch cameras. I'm going to leave the mic there and shout a little and hope they can hear me. But this is what the flowers look like. Oh, wrong camera. There you go. So what about it? Are they fake? Are they real? I'm going to just bring them closer. Look at that. They look kind of fake, don't they? And look at the leaves. They're really glossy. Now I'm not even going to bring it closer, but I'm not going to touch the camera. I want to bring the center of the flower. What about that? Does it look like it's silk? Does it look like it's paper? Those leaves really do look fake, don't they? Well, I'm going to put them back on the table. And I'm going to say what I just said because I didn't have the mic in front of me. So what I was yapping about over there when I was holding it to the camera and I didn't have a mic, which means I think next time I better get a lapel mic so that it kind of walks with me when I walk in the studio. But first of all, for any of you who missed the beginning of the show, this is the Books and Music Review Show. Our email is books.musicreview@gmail.com. And I just need to know, I did shut the door outside, right? We have an outside door. We keep the inside door open. And so we got the outside door open. So hopefully nobody will walk in. And anybody that does walk in would like to be on air for Books and Music Review. Okay, so the flowers. Here's what I like about this bunch of flowers here. See them? You know you can buy flowers anywhere. And we're not selling anything or promoting any person or any product or any store. But we are going to give you consumer helpful hints. So here's the helpful hint. You see these flowers. Right now I'm going to tell you, if you sent your email telling me what they are, fake or real or whatever, I'm going to tell you what they are. They're real flowers. They're real, they're not paper, they're not silk, they're not plastic, but they're real flowers. So here's the consumer helpful hint. You can buy these flowers at many of the stores in many cities. You can buy them in your city. You can buy them at what they call home improvement stores, or you can buy them in supermarkets or in grocery stores, or you can buy them in a florist. But since we're the consumer show, I'll tell you, I didn't buy this at a home improvement store, and I didn't buy this at, what was that other store? See, I did not buy it at a flower shop, and I did not buy it at a flower store. I forget what the other one was, but anyway, I bought these in a particular supermarket. Yep, in a supermarket. It's one of the supermarkets I kind of like. I call it like a Zen supermarket. You know, they got this Zen supermarket. Have you ever been in a supermarket and you just, like when you walk in, like just listen? Next time you go into your supermarket, just walk into the store and just listen. If you're not in the right supermarket, if you're not in what I call the Zen supermarket, you know, the smooth supermarket, the one that's good for your mind, health, body, and soul, if you're not in one of those, if you're one of the other stores, you might hear all sorts of clatter as you walk in. You're going to hear the noise from the customers. You might hear some loud music going on, and you're going to constantly hear the chatter over the mic. It'll be like, Ralph to aisle 4, Jim to aisle 3, Terry to aisle 6, and you're going to hear this constantly throughout when your little supermarket shopping spree. You might hear stuff like, oh, and we have a sale in aisle 7, blah, blah, blah. And you'll hear these announcements constantly, so you can't walk into the supermarket and just have a Zen moment, a comfortable moment. And then if something happens, you know, you'll hear security to this aisle and that aisle. Well, I shop in a supermarket that I call my Zen supermarket. It's kind of cool. And what they do is they don't have a loudspeaker. They don't have a loudspeaker! How do they tell everybody what's happening? They got little bells. I'm not kidding. They got like a little ship's bell or something, and they ring the bell. Ding, ding. So when you walk into this supermarket, you might hear some soothing music sometimes, and you might hear the ding, ding, ding. So anyway, I bought these beautiful flowers in a Zen supermarket. And when you go into that type of supermarket, instead of seeing like commercials all over the place and big magic markers and big signs and slashings like that, you walk into this supermarket and you'll see art. Art! You're going to see art on the walls and art in the aisles and art here and art there. And you're going to see little nostalgic things like little beach scenes, or you might see, it's amazing what you can see in the supermarket. So you go to the flower aisle, which is right in front. And I got these flowers. Guess how much I paid for these flowers? I paid $5.99. I have seen these very same flowers selling for $13 and $14. I've seen them selling for all sorts of money, and I ain't even going to go in a florist. I love florists. I'm not knocking florists. I love florists. But for now, for the time being, I can't really afford florist flowers. But I got this for $5.99, and I'm going to bring it to the camera again because I want to show you something special about this one bunch of flowers. You think I got one bouquet of flowers, right? That's what you think? You think I got one bunch of flowers? Good enough for one person? For one house? For one spot? If you think that, you're wrong, because I'm going to bring this over and I'm going to show you something. And I'm going to keep the mic off because I'm going to show it and point it out on the camera, and then I'm going to come back to the mic and tell you exactly what I'm showing you. And before I go, I'm going to tell you. This one bunch of flowers actually has 3 separate stems. That's right. 1, 2, 3. It has 3 separate stems. And I can tell you what to do with these flowers. And I can tell you that I've actually done it already so that I know that it's true and I know that it happens. Oh, by the way, if you just walked in now into your living room to watch TV and you don't know what this is, we are the Books and Music Review. I'd like to see the email up is books.musicreview@gmail.com. And could we leave that email on the screen just for a little while, because I want people to write to us, especially flower lovers and garden lovers And I'm going to bring this now to the camera to show you the 3 separate stems on what you thought was just one bouquet of flowers. So seriously, if you're on a low budget and you need to get flowers for someone, or you want to get flowers for your yard and you don't want to spend a whole lot of money, $5.99 for these, and I'm going to bring it to the camera. Hold up, and I'm going to be quiet now, but I will show the stems. So here's the stem. Here's 1. Here's 2. Whoops. Here's 2. And here's 3. Oh my God, little babies growing in the ground. I got an added plus. Look at that. These flowers are so beautiful. So look at that. If you know how to shop, or you keep watching our show for these helpful hints, you could buy this beautiful, no, not from the show, scratch that word buy, but we're not cutting. We do no editing. What I mean to say is, when you're in your Zen supermarket, you could find this one bunch of flowers that is really 3 separate bouquets. So what I did was, I tapped the bottom of the flower pot, and I took a knife, a sharp knife, and I cut in the dirt that's in the flower. I cut each stem separate, so they each had their own little piece of dirt. And then I gently took that, and I planted it in the yard. I planted 1 bouquet here, I planted another bouquet here, and another bouquet here. So think about this. If any of you bought this bunch of flowers for $6, and then you broke it into 3, so you got 3 flowers. So what's 3 times 15? Wait a minute. That was backwards. I'm not a math specialist. I'm just a flower specialist. So anyway, if you bought this, and say you bought 3 of them, then you would have 9 flowers. You could like fill your yard with flowers just by buying a $5.99 bouquet and filling the yard with it. So what kind of flowers are these, you're asking? They're azaleas. Yeah, I bought them real quick, and I looked at them, and I thought I had, well, not this one. I bought white ones, and I bought pink ones. And so what I did was I bought 1 bouquet like this, and I cut it into 3 flowers, and I planted it in my yard. And then I bought the white ones and cut them into 3. And so I got a compliment the other day, because I do have a very ugly yard that is so absolutely beautiful. Well, the ugly is this. I took all the grass out. Yeah, it's like, who wants grass in a yard? I mean, like, think about it. You plant grass, right? And then you got to have stress and anxiety if somebody walks on your grass, right? That's not what gardens are for. Gardens are to bring you life and hope and spirit and joy. That's what a garden's for. So I took all the grass out. Yeah, I took like all the grass out, so it's all dirt and it's all brown. Some people, yeah, got an ugly garden. Yeah, in winter it looks ugly. So we planted some of the flowers. We're not done planting yet. And we got like, at the same supermarket, I got like these big old sunflowers. It was like $4 for like 3 or 4 big old sunflowers. And we planted them. And some lady was jogging by one day, and she's like jogging by in the morning, and she's like, you know how we had all this bad weather? We had the snow, we had the snowstorms, we had the rain and stuff like that. And then we got a little bit of spring, and she's jogging by, and I happened to be out there, and she's like, oh, look, they're coming up. And she meant the flowers were now coming up out of the ground, and I had a smile. I couldn't let her think that, because they weren't coming out of the ground. I had just planted them like 2 days before. But all the other yards don't have they don't have flowers yet, because they're not ready to bloom yet. It's not warm enough. I think I planted them too soon, because it might still be too cold for flowers. But they look beautiful now while they're lasting. So I said, no, I just planted them. She turns around and she says, they're gorgeous. So compliment number 1 on my ugly garden. Some lady thought it was gorgeous. So I'm like, yes. Now, I think it's gorgeous because I love flowers. So why do I love flowers? And now I'll slow down to tell you why I love flowers and tell you we're going to get to the other books. 101 Garden Hacks is a book that I would like to suggest that you get from your libraries if it's in there. And if it's not in your library, I tell your library, could we get that book? Because it's really good. I saw it on TV. Check it out. It's got pictures, drawings, and a lot of good stuff, which I'll tell you about. The other book is called In Touch Magazine. This happens to be the Christmas issue. Merry Christmas, Happy Birthday, Happy Hanukkah, whatever holiday you're seeing this at. I have to wish you a joyful year. And the other book we're going to talk about, because we do have 15 minutes left, is Flow. And I love the book, Flow. So, and the bargains for the consumer thing, I tell you, today was an absolute bargain day at the clearance department of one of the office stores. I am not kidding. Usually, you know, they have clearance here and there, and they got a few items, and you look at them and like, who wants that anyway? Today, at the clearance store, I don't know, at the office store, and that's not the name of a store. It's where they sell office supplies and printers, and they sell paper, that kind of store. Whichever one you want to try in your city or other city. So at that store, their clearance section was so big, and they had awesome stuff in there. This was the best clearance sale I'd seen. So I picked up two things. I picked up this. It's a little fanny pack so you can put your wallet and stuff in there. Very cool. And it was at a discount. I think it was $10 cheaper than a regular price. That was the discount. And then I picked up this ordinary, awesome notebook that normally I'd say this must go for $4 or $5. It was like $1.50. And one of the best things, since we're doing a flower show, I got this loose leaf that has flowers all over it. Check that out. So I got a loose leaf of my favorite color, blue, with flowers. And that was what I got at the bargain store today. They also had a bunch of cell phone batteries, which none of them fit my cell phone and none of them fit my friend's cell phone. So that's what you do. You go into the office store and you look around and look for their clearance section. And if you want to buy flowers, you go to a Zen supermarket where things are cool and there's not a lot of shouting and yelling and aisle this and aisle that. Go to a Zen supermarket where they have maybe the little bells they ring. So they ring a bell. So like if somebody spills something on the floor, they have a thing where they go 1 bell, 2 bells, 3 bells. Like they don't even have to say to the manager, this is what's happening here. The manager listens, or the other workers listen to how many bells. So it's bang, 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 3 bells, they know what that means. 1 bell, they know what that means. It's kind of cool. It's just Zen supermarket. So when you're looking for good buys, first look to cool and calm your spirit and your soul and fill your heart with joy, and find a supermarket that's a Zen supermarket. But not to worry, all those other supermarkets are great also, because you can go in there and get some great prices. You know, Zen prices, the Zen supermarket doesn't have a lot of the brand names. They got 1 or 2 brand names. And you can go to those noisy ones when you're having a day where you can take a noisy supermarket and you go to the other ones and they got great sales and they got all sorts of things, like even dances like the can and stuff like that. But when you just want to have a peaceful day, say you had a rough week or something like that, you go into a Zen place. So there you go, 101 garden hacks, and I'm going to read one of the hacks. I've read a few pages in here. I didn't finish reading the book. I'm going to tell you who wrote it. Who wrote it? Oh, gee whiz, no wonder I liked it. You wouldn't believe who the publisher is. It says, for the publisher, hold on a minute. I did not get this book at the supermarket. I bought it in a bookstore. That's it. They didn't have that. I believe this is, I'm looking for the publisher. I read it earlier, and I know it in my head, but I hate to guess because then I'll go if I got the wrong thing. Okay, so the publisher of this is Rodale. Now, have you ever heard of Rodale? Have you ever heard of Rodale? R-O-D-A-L-E. R-O-D is David, A-L-E. You older folks never heard of Rodale. Maybe the younger folks never heard of Rodale, right? Rodale is usually, or was usually, the publisher of Prevention magazine. So this is by Rodale Publishing, and it's garden hacks. I'm going to turn randomly to the page because, like I said, I read some, I didn't read it all, and I'll see what it says on this page, and if it's good enough to read on the air, I will. Okay, wow, this is kind of odd. I didn't read this, but I'm going to read it on air. It's very odd. Garden hack number 92. Oh, gee, I knew I forgot something today. I probably didn't bring glasses. I'm going to have to read this without my glasses. And now you know that this book is for people. If you don't have your glasses, it's okay because the print is pretty big. Garden hack number 92. And if this is a bad helpful hint, I have to say I didn't read it yet. I'm reading it for the first time on air. 92 is watch beetles drop. Yeah, I know. What kind of garden hack is that? Every Japanese beetle you catch early is one that can't lay eggs to make more. Okay, got that. So during the start of the season, set your alarm clock early Oh, this is a garden hack. This is great. Here's the clue. You need to get up before 7 a.m. Set your alarm clock at 7 a.m. to get out there and get the beetles. Well, how do you like that? Who would have knew that? That you can go out there and find the beetles at a certain time of day. So there's the hack. Set your alarm clock for 7 o'clock if you're in Eastern Standard Time. I'm guessing that. And at 7 o'clock, you'll be able to catch all those beetles if you have some kind of beetle infestation. Let me read the rest of it. Spread a sheet under the plants the beetles prefer. Some say roses suffer most, but there are hundreds of target plants, everything from grapevines to fruit trees. So put the sheet under the plant, then shake the plant to whack it with the plant or whack it with a broom and watch the beetles fall down and play dead. Did you know that beetles can play dead or do play dead? Now you know, and you learned it on Books and Music Review. So watch the beetles play dead. It says, toss them into soapy water or vinegar. I don't want to hear from no environmentalists who don't want to kill the beetles. It's a garden hack. Rodale says so, and I'm going with Rodale. I don't have beetles, but if you have beetles, now you know how to get rid of them. Get that sheet, put it under the plant, whack that plant, pick up those beetles and throw them into soapy water or vinegar, and bye beetles. So that's one of the hacks, the garden hacks. I'll read garden hack number 115, and then I'm going to go to another book, and I'm going to come back to garden hacks just in case you're waiting to hear from the other books. 115, slow and thorough watering with less work. Set out big plastic water jugs, either the 3-gallon size from the supermarket, in your beds or at the base of the trees and shrubs. Here's what you do. Punch a few holes near the bottom of the jugs. You can fill the jug in minutes with the hose. The water dribbles out from the holes at a slow rate so that everything is watered. So none is wasted. So that's how you're going to water really thoroughly and good and most effectively in your garden. Get the big old jugs, whether it's a gallon of milk or whatever. Use up your product. Fill it with water. Put the holes in first. Fill it with water. I don't know if you have to fill it with water first and then put the holes in. I don't know what. You heard me read it. So do that and then place that near the bottom of your trees or near your plants. For the heavy-duty 5-gallon water cooler sized jugs, you may need to hammer a nail through it to make the holes. Bonus, it's easy to delegate the refilling of the water jugs to your kids. Oh, that's cool. They'll welcome the chance to play with the hose and with the water. So there you go. You got a garden hack, you got a fun hack, you got a water hack, and there's a whole bunch of little hacks in this book called 101 Garden Hacks, put out by Rodale. A very, very nice book. I got that at the bookstore. Go look in your libraries and see if it's at the library. And if it's not at your library, write to me. Find out where you can find that book. Oh, before I go on to the next book, I'll have to say something about flowers. Why am I bonkers over flowers? Why do I like flowers so much? Can you guess? Flowers are kind of a sign of hope. And that's why I like flowers, because I think no matter where you are or what's happening in your life or whatever happened in your life, I think that you should always have hope. And to me, flowers are a sign of hope. Yes, little babies are a sign of hope also, but you can't always find a little baby. Not everybody has a little baby in their family. So the next best thing to a pretty little baby is a bunch of flowers, because they're a sign of hope. So when did I start thinking they were a sign of hope? I'll tell you, it was many, many years ago. Many years ago, probably 20 years ago or 15 years ago. Do you ever have like one of those days when it's just like everything's going wrong? Just like, maybe the milk spilled and maybe you tripped on something and maybe you heard somebody was sick or something happened in your life, in somebody's life. Maybe you didn't catch the bus and you had to run for it and you tripped or something. or maybe you had big tragedies, or maybe you suffered a loss or something. Whatever it was, that everything was piled up on you and you felt like you had the world on your shoulders, you're feeling really down, and you just like walking around, and you might even got to the point where you're thinking, oh, gee, goodness, Willie, like, what else is going to happen next? Like, what's going to happen next? You might be thinking, like, I can't even handle another thing happening. I had a day like that once, many, many years ago, 15, 20 years ago, I had a day like that. Sure, I probably had more than one day, but I'm going to give you an example and tell you why I think flowers are a sign of hope. So I had a really, really, really bad day, and I was walking around, and I just had these gloomy thoughts and all, whether it was a memory of a gloomy thing or whatever. And I walked down the block somewhere in a big city, Manhattan or Brooklyn or something like that. I walked down the block, and I turned around, and I saw this garden. I saw these beautiful flowers in a garden. It was just awesome. So I just turned in the midst of all my, like, what else can happen now? And you know what? Sometimes when you ask God a question, if you just throw it out to the universe, as they say, in my case, I'm asking God, he just sends you the answer. I turned around and I saw these gorgeous flowers in someone's garden. And another time I walked around and I saw it was just one flower in a garden. And I couldn't help but smile. And the smile kind of cheered me up, and the smile kind of reminded me of all the hope that I've had in my life and everything I have to be grateful for. And it was that smile, it was that looking at that flower. And another time looking at those flowers, it just made me feel hopeful. It made me feel happy. And I can't believe this. I got like 3 minutes left of the show, and I have 2 books I didn't do. They're probably going to be for another show. There's this book called Flow. I'm going to have to start it with Flow, and maybe talk about In Touch magazine, and maybe read some more garden hacks. You know what? I think we need to put the flowers up now in case you're looking for more flowers than we're showing. We're going to put the flowers up and let you know we're produced through the facilities of Staten Island Community Television. And that's our flowers. And yes, those are rhododendrons. They're big old pink flowers. And so we could take it down now and go back to the studio and tell you that if you got $5.99 and you find a Zen supermarket, you probably can have flowers just as beautiful as this. And you could take a knife and cut this plant in 3 and share your hope with everybody around you. What do you think of that? So this is Books and Music Review, and you probably didn't know you were going to hear about flowers, but that was today's topics, and that was today's books. And here's where you can write to me. You want to be on our show? Would you like us to come and videotape your garden? Would you like to bring your flowers to the studio or your plants? Write to us at books.musicreview@gmail.com. I'm going to repeat it again. Oh, there it is on the screen. That's so cool. Books.musicreview@gmail.com. Let me know everything you know about flowers and plants, and we can share some of these helpful hints on air on a different show that we do about gardening. This show is produced through the facilities. We've already shown you that. And write to us. You can be on air. If you have a garden, maybe you have like a school garden, and you've got like, I would love to speak to some hydroponic gardens. There are people who actually grow lettuce with just water. And that's a whole new way of gardening. If you don't want to bring dirt into the house, yes, you know what? God gives us the answers to everything. So you can do garden with, I'll tell you what, if you have a head of romaine lettuce and you cut it off at the bottom, that hard part, which is the stem, right? If you put that in a dish of water and you put it in the sun on your window or under your skylight or anywhere, in a couple of days or so, you will see that that romaine lettuce stem will begin to grow another head of romaine lettuce. You know, I had to tell you, 52 seconds. Gee, I need to talk quick and talk in 52 seconds, which is now 48 seconds. If you want to know about life, take up gardening. If you want to know the answers to life, take up gardening, read about gardening, and go out and get your hands dirty. All in a good way, of course. So, that was our show. We got 30 seconds to go. Any questions about anything you heard in this show, write to books.musicreview@gmail.com, and we'll be glad to answer your questions. We answer all emails within 2 weeks, or even quicker than that. But we will answer you. No question is too small or too big. ask those garden questions or about any other topic. Thank you for watching the Books and Music Review. And if you got music, come on, call us up, email